Hey there, this is Jenny Chen. I'm the founder of 3D Heals. Welcome to the Lattice podcast, the official podcast for 3D Heals. This is where you will find fun but in-depth conversations with technological game changers, creative minds, entrepreneurs, rule breakers, and more, focusing on how we can use 3D technologies like 3D printing and bioprinting to reinvent healthcare and even life sciences. This podcast will also include AMA or Ask Me Anything sessions, past Instagram live interviews with influencers, and other direct engagements with our tribe. We can get started. I apologize for being a couple minutes late, and thank you so much for joining me today. I love that you guys are in the lab working, and we definitely can get to that. But welcome everybody who's watching. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing the co-founders of 3D Biotechnology Solutions, Ana Millas and Pedro Massaguer. I am so sorry, I don't speak Portuguese, but actually I would love it if you can say your name in the real correct way. I love to learn a little bit of Portuguese myself. So
no problem, Jenny.
Great.
So I mean,
Pedro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Pedro Massaguer.
Massaguer.
Pedro is a common name here in Brazil, and Massaguer is from my dad and is from Spain.
So it's the same in English as Peter.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Ana. Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Millas. Nice to meet you.
So I'm close to Anna's name. I'm almost correct. So welcome to this interview. This is meant to happen on Instagram Live, but sometimes we have some network issues, especially with Brazilian guests. So just for safety, I thought I'd do it on Zoom since it's more consistent in terms of the internet connection. But I got to know Ana and Pedro many years ago, almost like 3 years ago, perhaps. And that was because 3 years, because of a meeting that's organized by Mayra, who I also interviewed very recently. And she was organizing a Brazilian 3D printing event. And that's how I met you guys. And it was just fascinating. What a vibrant community Brazil has in terms of innovation, even with limited resources. But before I go on further, I would love to have you guys just sort of describe your early journey in the 3D bioprinting space. How you got educated on it, what inspired you, who were your mentors, etc.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm a biologist as my first formation, and I hold my master's degree and my PhD in chemical engineering, and I just finished my postdoc in pharmaceutical science. And I started to work with biofabrication since my master's degree, when I worked with two technologies, the electrospinning first, when I went to the electrospinning company in United Kingdom. And then I started to work in 2014 with bioprinting, especially in a little bit of traditional 3D print.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, my name is Pedro again, and I'm a business administrator, and I have my master's and PhD in the science and technology policy here at the State University of Campinas. And in this period, I was mainly focused my research on innovation process in startups and entrepreneurial-based techs. And my first contact with tissue engineering was through Ana in 2015, and other company that requested assistance to design the business model of a biohealing product. And my main main specialties are business development, strategic management related to biotechnology.
Awesome. And so how did you guys meet and how did you decide to form a company?
Okay. When I was making a part of my research in United Kingdom, I worked in a small company as a startup in 2012. And I thought, why they can have this here, this kind of company here, and we don't have in Brazil. So let's do, and we can do there in Brazil. And then in 2014, me and Pedro, we are double associated partnership, and we get married. And then we decided to open the 3BS. We have two children. Eduardo just born in the same day of 3BS was constructed.
They have the same age.
3 years ago.
That's amazing.
Really amazing.
What happened from the business perspective, Jenny, as I was telling, I was helping another startup that is developing these wound dressings using mesenchymal cells in Ribeirão Preto. And at that point, we identified that missing point here in Brazil, that there is the access to the hardware, to the bioprinter. The cost is too expensive because of euro and dollar when converted, and it's inaccessible for a medium researcher here. So that was the opportunity that we decided to go ahead with 3DBS. And to do that, we had the support from a research agency from the state of São Paulo that calls FAPESP. FAPESP has a similar program for entrepreneurs as this SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research in the US. Very similar program. And with their help, in the first phase, we validated our bioprinter. In the second phase, there is a project that's still running. We are going to the bioprinted products.
Was the first bioprinting going to the market in Brazil. And we realized that here we had a lot of demand for that, a lot of groups working tissue engineering. And nowadays we have more than 40 bioprinters spread all Brazil.
Yeah, I think, you know what, I think to some of the audiences in North America, this could be a very surprising fact that Brazil has a very vibrant biotech research activity. Now, my question, I mean, I have so many questions in terms of how you started the startup. But one question I do have is, obviously the universities are already using other bioprinters that are on the market from other countries. Why do you think it's important to have a Brazil-based bioprinting startup?
Well, I think that the main thing, Jenny, is the community here in Brazil of researchers in the area of regenerative medicine or tissue engineering are very, very capacitated and have very good research, but they are just starting with bioprinting. So the importance that we have a local startup in this area is the geographical proximity. So we can translate and learn with them and also educate them to use the equipment and help them in many parts or phases of the research. And this is an important thing. The second important thing, I think, is price. What we are doing here in Brazil is something like democratizing this tool in labs and in universities, research institutes, and this is important.
And since we start with tissues, bioprinted tissues, that's alive tissues, it's complicated to make the logistics, to make the transport. So we have to internalize these technologies here. And this is the point. We have our proper technology, and now we start to put in the market tissues, bioprinted tissues.
And this is an important point also, because cosmetic demand in Brazil is very high. We have big companies working in this field, so they have this demand.
So that answers my question about product market fit. It sounds like you have a unique product that fits a unique market. Now, you two started the company, so it's two people in the company. How did you grow your company to acquire talents and people who, fit your business goals?
We have one more partner, that's Milton, who built piece by piece all the equipments, electrospinning equipments and bioprinters.
Milton is a senior mechanical engineer, and he is responsible with our team in I don't know how oficina, in our mechanical
officer. I don't know.
There they have Mauro and Eric, that is always two partners, funcionários from 3DBS. And we have these three main roles. Milton have total independence in the development of the equipment and the demands of researchers. Ana leads all the research related to tissue engineering with all the same, all the main lines of research that we are developing. And myself in the business development area, in the management area, leading with accounting, investors, institutional relations.
We start to expand our team, and now we have two internships. That is Giovanni and Karin, that they are together with us here now. Just look in the presentation, and they are so good. They are making together and put the clothes together, and we are going. So our expectation is to grow our team. Is necessary.
Awesome.
Now 3DBS have 7 people.
Nice. You're reaching a milestone already. So Pedro, you mentioned that you guys got basically a grant for your phase 1. Do you mind share with us how you're getting funding now, and what's your plan and strategies?
Okay, yeah, sure. In this program, it's very similar to SBIR. In the phase 1, for 9 months of project, they provide 200,000 reais. This is something like $50,000 at the moment. Now the currency has changed. In the second phase is like 1 million reais, and this is like $250,000 for 2 years of research. So the numbers are the same, but the currency is in reais when we compare to SBIR program. But the time of 9 months and after that 24 months is the same idea.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying only $50,000 can get you where you are?
$50,000 in the first phase,
and
in the second phase, $250,000.
And then we are a new startup in biotech, but since we started, we sell our equipment. So we have the funds, but we have always the sales, no?
So you're making money and also have some grant money. Essentially, it's a non-diluted funding. You don't really have any private investors. Are you looking forward for any future private investors in this?
Yeah, we are dealing with investors. What happened, Janet, that when we speak strategically, we decided to have a long run objective and some medium objectives. So products for bioprinting, that is something that we can already touch the market and offer because we don't have any regulations. Besides, in the other hand, advanced therapeutics, you have to go to regulation. So in this first phase, when we are focusing on hardware, our first 2 years, we didn't talk too much with investors because we know that the valuation of the company will hit the good point when you provide the market with bioprinted products. So now we are increasing this strategy, working with VCs and looking for our internalization, mainly to US.
Yeah. In fact, I find your strategy can be applied to many different startups in the space as well, regardless whether or not they're in Brazil. But in our conversation previously, I mentioned that how impressed I am that you guys can form a startup in this, really challenging area. And also as a Brazilian startup, you must have a lot of unique challenges that I think, especially for entrepreneurs in Brazil, could benefit from learning how you conquer those challenges to get where you are today?
Yes, Jenny, you know that we live here a constant crisis in Brazil. And this makes us, I think, more strong than other countries. We have to reinvent, we have wisdom, we have to create inside the crisis, the chaos. But you know that this year, this pandemic year is really good for us.
Mm-hmm.
We are selling a lot. We are launching our first product, bioprinted product, and we have FAPESP together. That is the public foundation, and you can.
I think the most important to think about is this is not a simple business. You cannot do too much alone. You need to have partners and you need to have collaborations. So in this way, 3DBS have this partnership with FAPESP. We also have a partnership with a university that called São Leopoldo Mandique, that is a medicine school.
Mm-hmm.
They provided the infrastructure to us to build our lab in their campus. And we also established with any client some kind of collaboration, even for training. So our equipment is not a selling of a product, but also a training and also a space to interchange ideas and expand and evolve products. So,
always consultants involved, always.
So I think this is some advice for others that want to or thinking in imprehend like 3DBS.
But it's a really challenge. It's challenge, yeah. It's not easy.
It's not easy. In one particular point is that Brazil only established the regulation for advanced products, for therapeutic products, in the last 2 years. So it was difficult because you don't have the trace, the line to go because you don't have the regulation. But now these pieces are putting together, and now we are seeing more and more companies emerging here in Brazil in this field.
Yeah, and also want to mention that you have a PhD in policy, so that probably helps a lot too. It does sound extremely challenging, but there is a roadmap if people want to take this roadmap. And I'm also impressed that even during pandemic, that turned out to be one of your best years. That is definitely a proof that you got the product market right. So
yes.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the reasons that we do these video calls is because I want to also, look at what you guys are working on and, more like a show and tell process. So I see that you have your printer next to you with your classical orange color. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your machine and what it can do?
Is with the colors of our logo, orange, red, and yellow. So this is a micro extrusion bioprinter. We have 2 print heads here, and we put the bio ink inside these ordinary but sterile syringes. This bio ink is a hydrogel together with the cells, and then we put here in the print head.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your blueprint, your program, G code, and then you put your structure, 3D structure to print.
Yeah.
And what we are doing with this machine inside our group, inside of our researchers, we are making vascular grafts associated bioprinting with the technology of nano and microfibers, the electrospinning technology.
Mm-hmm.
This is really promises. There is a potential to make a more complex structure. I'm gonna show just a piece of our work. That's why we are here inside our lab.
Yes.
Here I have vessels.
Maybe hold it close
and
to the camera. Yeah.
We just
nice.
want to you can see.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
We can associate the two, both technology to make these tubular structures.
Mm-hmm.
And our first product that we launched in the market was part of the development that I made during my postdoc in USP, São Paulo, with Professor Silvia Stuck. That is a skin model to cosmetic testers, especially cosmetic tests.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show just a piece of our work. We make this skin in the bioprinter. So we have here
the whole thing.
The
bottom.
The skin.
Bottom. The bottom, right? The bottom part of the vial.
Yeah, it's the bottom part.
I see. Okay. And this is customized for a particular patient, or what kind
We can customize the size for particular occasion, of course, but this size is good for the tests, for the drug screening or for cosmetics.
Right.
But of course, we can customize the size and the layers.
So I have, I'm really interested in the topic of electrospinning, mainly because I'm very unfamiliar with the subject. I mean, most of the time when we look at bioprinting, it's extrusion, FDM's that's the most common way of bioprinting, not the only way, obviously. So you want to explain a little bit to our audience, what is electrospinning? It's been around for many years, but not many people understand it.
Yes, I think when we are talking about this, because our different, I think we have this stack, I don't know how to say, but we have both electron spinning and bioprinter. And is not a lot of people seeing that this is a potential association.
Yeah.
What is? Electron spinning came from the textile industry to make tissues. And because of its nanofibers and microfibers, we started to use this technology in tissue engineering for regenerative medicine. So it's making like handling fibers, nano or micro. You can customize as a scaffold for cells, or you can make aligned fibers, very organized, like to reconstruct the tendon, for example, is really good. But for skin, it's good handling fibers. And after we make these fibers with PLGA, PLLA, natural, synthetic polymers, we can make the printer on top.
The electrospinning,
cells, no?
Mainly what we have is a pump with the syringe inside. She's the emboll of the syringe very slowly, and is extruding this material, biomaterial, that's being collected randomly or aligned. And here in the needle, we have an energy discharger of 30 kilovolts that will expand this material in a random way, very similar to other metrics in other tissues.
Extracellular matrix. Yeah.
And then just taking back about our bioprinter, Genesis 2, this is the main platform that we are selling here in Brazil. And this is an equipment that is totally customizable. We can put here a syringe to work with pellets. We can refrigerate our extruder to work with collagen. We can adapt a Ford Roach axis to the tubular structure. And now the electrospinning equipment, the main collector of the electrospinning equipment is interchangeable with this bioprinter at 4 axis. So this allows us to use the fiber and bioprint over the fiber almost without touching the sample or manipulating the sample with our hands.
It's a hybrid system.
So I just want to make sure I understand properly. So you have two different biofabrication methods on one machine. You can print simultaneously so that the electrospinning kind of create a more random extracellular matrix-like kind of scaffold, whereas you can more precisely deposit cells in the matrix that electrospinning created. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes, it's right.
So that also means that you have a multi-material printer, basically, right? The syringe will contain cells, and then the electrospinning is whatever material you choose.
Thermoplastics, polymers, normally.
Cool. Awesome. I'm really excited about what you guys have accomplished, and I really appreciate the time that you spent with us today. And this video will be converted on our YouTube channel, a podcast, and I would love to continue this conversation because I love to see what Genesis 3 and Genesis 4 is going to come out like. And by the time you're ready to scale up for fundraising, I'm also open for conversations. As you know, we've been having this kind of conversation for many years now. So, and how are you guys doing in pandemic? I don't want to ignore that fact that we are still in pandemic, especially in Brazil. We're not out of it anytime soon. So how do you maintain your business activities while there's so much ongoing crisis out there?
We are very taking care of everybody. So we are a small group. We work with 2 people each time in the lab. And I am going to vaccinate today.
Nice.
And Pedro gonna wait a little bit more. But we expect to everybody be vaccinated in the next 2 or 3 months. Let's see.
The first 6 months, the first semester of the pandemic, we practically use it to build the lab, to make the connections, bring all the equipment, establish the clean room. So in this way, we didn't stop. We just used this moment for this because all the university was closed and we had more access to build the lab. And now, as the university is a medicine school and have some compromise with our town, Campinas, they provide services to the town. They are working normal now, just 1 month later.
Yeah,
you're adapting no matter what the situation is, which is the kind of stoicism that startups really need. Well, thank you so much, Ana and Pedro. Thank you for your time today, and we will connect soon. And
thank you, Jen. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much, and let's evolve our conversation.
Congrats for your initiative and videos. It's a really good initiative.
I'm enjoying doing it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Jen.
That's it for this episode. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at 3D Heals, and check out the links in the show notes. See you next time.